So I have an exercise in there that I call the ABCDE method. I didn't, write the method. I didn't come up with it, but it's simple. You look at what is the activating event? What's the thought that happens every time you get up to go to the gym? What happens is something that holds you there. If it's allowing you to move toward it, great. But if it's not, it's a good indicator it's a limiting belief. That might be the limiting belief right there, is that thought. So that's the B, is the limiting belief. Is it limiting? Well, now we have to diagnose it. What are the consequences to that limiting belief itself? Well, if the limiting belief is, if the thought is, I can't go to the gym alone. That's scary for me or whatever. Then the consequence is what happens. Well, what physiological issues happen if you buy into that? Well, you don't end up going to the gym, so you don't work out, right? Emotionally, I don't feel good about myself. The hormones aren't flowing. The blood isn't pumping. And so I'm kind of at a stagnant energy throughout the day. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And then what is the behavioral things? Well, I'm snappy. I'm less, happy to be around. My relationships, what are the interpersonal stuff? Well, my relationships are affected. My wife knows this. She's like, Travis, you get on that mountain bike ride and come back a better Travis. Okay. I'm out. There's times where I've got to go do it. Yes. Isn't that funny? It's so stinking true. Exercise is way more powerful than any Adderall, any, prescription medication. We know that the studies have been stymied for years, but they're now showing that exercise is the key, right? So that's interesting. Then there's the cognitive, like, what do I think about myself if I don't go to the gym? Man, you failed. You just can't do it. Do you see how those things are, you can instantly see that if those are the consequences to a belief system that you're holding, that's not serving you. That's not helpful. So in D, you have to dispute it. Well, what is that? Well, I have to now decide, are all those consequences helpful, not helpful, relevant, irrelevant? Like, you kind of go through this test that we have. And if it shows up that, none of those consequences are helpful for me achieving my goal, well, then they're limiting you. Period. End of story. Exclamation point. Okay. The last part then, what is your E? Well, the E is the effective and new outlook, or new and effective outlook. But the emphasis is on the E because you have to squeeze it in to make the ABCDE work, right? All right. Stinking acronyms. So then what you need to do is create a new thought process, because how the brain works, and you guys probably know this, you study the brain, like, we can literally program what it is we want our brain to believe. So the longer we hold on to these limiting beliefs, the longer that the synapse creates a line of fire for that electromagnetic energy to continue down the same path. But the more you start a new thought, so whenever I don't want to go to the gym by myself shows up, if your new and effective outlook is, I have to go to the gym, even if it is by myself, because my life depends on it. Whoa. If you start saying that every time the other thought comes up, over time, the old thought will actually go away, because the brain recognizes and says, it's no longer needed. We're going to cut that. It's gone. And literally you reprogram your brain. Neuro-linguistic programming, it's that basic. It really is.